Avoid this common regret when selling and buying at the same time, without the stress, the cost, and the chaos, so you don't end up homeless like this seller almost did. Selling your home while buying another one is one of the trickiest moves you'll make. You get it wrong and you could find yourself homeless, paying 2 mortgages or making rush decisions that cost you thousands. It's stressful, it's inconvenient, and it's expensive, but it doesn't have to be. Whether you should sell first or buy first depends on your unique situation. But I'll make it crystal clear so you can move once, not twice, save your money, and keep your sanity intact. Recently, clients of mine, Joe and Veronica, loving parents of 4 beautiful kids, thought it would make sense for them to buy first and then sell their home. They ended up buying a foreclosure that needed a full rehab. The intent was to fix it up, move in, and then sell their existing home. But things didn't go as planned. They called me up and said, "We need to list our home for sale." They had a specific deadline to sell. We listed their home and it took a contract very quickly. However, timelines with the renovations and personal obligations didn't work out. They were now facing a situation where they didn't have a home to move into. The closing for the sale of their home was going to close soon. As a backup plan, they were going to put a trailer on their property while they finished renovations. But it turns out dealing with local government and permits wasn't a very efficient process, and they couldn't get the approvals in time. They now were homeless, well, at least temporarily. This created a lot of stress, multiple moves, and unnecessary expenses. Now, I was not involved in the initial purchase of the foreclosure. They actually ended up getting stuck working with a broker they didn't know or didn't trust, which is a whole other horror story for another day and time. I believe that is where the problems started. Joe and Veronica did have the right idea, made some smart decisions, and they did make some mistakes, but it could have been executed better from the start and probably planned a lot better. There are generally 3 ways to go about this. You could sell first, then buy. You could buy first, then sell. Or you can buy and sell simultaneously. Now, if you decide to sell first and then buy, here's the potential benefits. You will have financial clarity because the sale is complete. Negotiation is over and you have the check. You'll know exactly how much money you have for the next home. No surprises and no guesses. This will make you a stronger buyer when you purchase. Since you've already sold, you won't need to make the next purchase conditioned on you selling your previous home, making you a more attractive buyer and less of a risk to a seller. You will have a lower financial burden. You won't be carrying 2 mortgages, paying double the property taxes, utilities, and maintenance. You will have more time to prepare to sell. If you need to make repairs or updates on your home before you sell, you won't be rushed as a result of hitting deadlines required on the contract to purchase your next home. You can take your time, but selling first does come with some downsides. You may have to do a double move. You may need to do a short-term rental or stay with friends and family. Now, this adds extra expenses and inconveniences. The extra cost for a moving truck or movers when moving more than once, as well as additional rent and storage space. There's also the potential for a shift in the market. If the prices rise between the time you sell and buy, you could end up paying more for the new home than if you did the opposite or you choose to do it at the same time. If you buy first, you will get a few benefits. Only one move, no need for temporary housing. You go straight from the old home to the new one. You still will need to plan for unique situations, as was the case with Joe and Veronica. It will be less stressful and you won't be hindered by those dates. More time to move. You can move at your own pace without the pressure of a buyer's closing deadline. Since you still have the previous property, you can take your time, make renovations on the new home, giving you more flexibility there. But there is a flip side to this strategy. Your home doesn't sell quickly and you're on the hook for 2 mortgages, payments plus utilities, taxes, and upkeep. If home prices drop, you could end up selling your old home for less than expected. You may feel forced to lower your price to sell more quickly to avoid carrying those 2 mortgages for too long. Now, there's also another option, a middle ground, buying a home conditioned on selling your current home. This means your purchase contract states that you will only buy the new home if the current home sells first. When you hear terms from a realtor, contingent contingent on sale or contingent on close, that is what that means. There are a number of different terms within the contract that outlines how these are negotiated. My local real estate contract I use for my clients, this section alone covers nearly 2 pages. So this can get very complicated very quickly if you don't understand the different scenarios. Right now I have a deal going on where my clients wrote a contract contingent on sale of their home for a newer property in a different city. We did end up receiving a contract on this property pretty quickly. The sellers of my client's purchase also put an offer on a home in another state contingent on sale or close of their home. Right now there are 3 properties in this daisy chain of homes with contingent on sale. 3 sets of buyers and 3 sets of sellers. There are 4 brokers and at least 3 attorneys involved. This means there are triple the amount of contingencies that have to be completed in order for all of these to successfully close. Just to give you a perspective on this, here is a list of some contingencies that have to be met in a real estate contract. Now multiply that by at least 3. The point is it can be a very complicated process to get through. Since I likely completely scared you away from this idea entirely, it's actually not that bad. This is just an illustration of how complex it can become. There are benefits with this type of agreement, and ultimately it exists to protect you largely because of the complexity. It's essentially a safety net for you as a buyer when selling at the same time. You won't be stuck with 2 homes at once. It offers some flexibility. If your home doesn't sell in the time indicated in the agreement, you can back out of the deal without loss of the earnest money or an additional penalty. The downsides to making a contingent offer: sellers prefer buyers who don't have contingencies. This puts you in a weaker position when negotiating the price and other terms of the purchase. In a strong seller's market, some sellers won't even consider them. In 2020 to 2022, in my market, it was an extreme rare case. You saw this. Sellers were getting multiple offers on day 1, above list price, cash, non-contingent offers, so it didn't make sense for them to take the added risk of a contingent on sale offer. Now the market has shifted since, so we are seeing a lot more of these being considered now. You may feel rushed to sell your home quickly, which again could weaken your position on negotiation. This is why it's critical to talk with your realtor about whether a contingent offer makes sense in your local market. It will differ based on market conditions and other factors. If you need to buy before selling but don't have the cash on hand and you need the money from the sale of your home, there are financing options that might help and give you some flexibility in your decision. You can look into a bridge loan, for example, which is a short-term loan that uses your current home's equity to help fund the down payments on your next home purchase. They come with higher interest rates, they have stricter deadlines, and they must be paid off once your home sells. You can look at borrowing against your home's equity before you list the home with an equity line of credit. Some buyers will use their 401k or the IRA loans, but this can have tax implications, so talk to your financial advisor. One way to avoid the hassle of moving twice is to do a leaseback or a rental agreement. This lets you sell the home but stay in it by renting it to the new owner while you find a new place to live. It's an option that comes with its own potential issues. You'll need to negotiate with your buyer upfront and work out the rental terms with your real estate agents and attorney. Now, if you happen not to need the equity to purchase, you could, instead of selling, you could rent your home to offset the mortgage costs, though this comes with some landlord responsibilities and tax implications. So how do you decide what is best for you? Here are the main factors to consider. Market conditions. Whether we are in a seller's market or a buyer's market, this will have a significant impact on your decision, as it will change the balance of advantages versus the disadvantages. For example, a seller market means there are less homes available with a higher number of buyers. Homes sell quickly, but it may be more difficult to find a home. Prices will continue to go higher, and sellers have the advantage in the negotiation. In a buyer's market, it's the opposite. There is an oversupply of homes on the market and not enough buyers to absorb the existing homes for sale. This means it will take longer to sell and the home prices will be flat or possibly even declining. Buyers will have more options and therefore more leverage. This should be considered when choosing your options, how you negotiate the terms, specifically timelines in the contract and your backup plans if things don't go as expected. Your realtor will have unique access and insight on the state of the market market specific to your location and your neighborhood. They can outline a plan based on those important metrics. Your financial situation may dictate what options you have. You may be limited. Many homeowners need the equity from their existing home, so selling first with a double move or using the contingency on sale options might be your best option. Risk tolerance is also important in such a complex transaction. Understanding the risk of what you are comfortable with might drive your final decision. Would you prefer security of knowing your home is sold before you buy? How do you feel about being pressured to sell or buy? Do you feel comfortable carrying 2 mortgages? Is time a bigger factor versus net price in the end? Trying to weigh these options is very difficult. Lean on your realtor. Make sure they are very experienced in these types of sales and understand the complexities and how to navigate them. If you have any questions after watching this video, leave them below in the comments. I will try to come back and answer these personally. And for the last 20 years, I've been helping homeowners like you. I've accumulated a huge network of real estate pros nationwide. I can set you up with the right agent so they can get you the most optimal results in the end. All my contact information is in the description below. Just drop me a quick message. If you found this video helpful, check out this next one right up here. Thanks for watching and see you next time.